About your discussion on the sideline. Just wondered what you took out of it from that moment and kind of how you guys are dealing with it at this point, if at all.
There we go. There's two guys. We're very competitive. We just want to win games.
He said that it might have been just on the court, something defensive, whatever it was. Do you think there's anything with the level of frustration, or is it something you think is in the past at this point?
No, he's over with.
And then LeBron, just one question of the fourth quarter. Was there something you guys found going to the rim that hadn't been there this game plus the season opener that you saw, and anything else, just trying to find some of that cohesion?
Yeah, just trying to find a rhythm, really. Trying to play with pace. One thing in the fourth quarter we got stops. I mean, we gave up 21 points. A lot of those points was either threes because we were trapping or just free throws late in the game. So we got stops, which allowed us to get on and run. Russ was able to get a lot of defensive rebounds, push early, which he's really good at. And, we just got the ball moving, had a lot of space out there, and just playing kind of like carefree basketball, not really thinking too much, just kind of reacting.
AD, both you and Dwight said that you guys resolved it and, competitive guys. But seeing teammates, come together like that on the sideline, with a shove and all that. We're not used to seeing that very often. It's not something you see very often. Why should that not be looked at as a sign of, a fracture with the chemistry of this team?
I mean, y'all can look at it how y'all want to look at it. I mean, that's on y'all. But, in-house, what we do in that locker room and what we say, we keep it to ourselves. And like I say, after the situation, happened, me and DH, we talked about it, and we left it at that.
Guys, I think the word maybe that got used most during training camp was patience, and that was going to, LeBron, you used it a lot with us. Is that an easier said than done thing, sitting here 0-2, not playing the way you have wanted, I think, for long enough stretches in these games?
Well, obviously, the name of the game is to win ball games. But there's a process along with building something to become the team that you want to become. And I know it firsthand. I know, the shortcomings that happens throughout when you're trying to build something special. And, it doesn't happen overnight. As much as you want it, you're going to get frustrated at times because you know what you're capable of. You know what the team can become capable of. But it just takes time, and we'll know when that time is. But right now we got to just continue to push, continue to stay positive, continue to push, continue to work our habits, continue to play good basketball for one another, and get on the board, get on the winning board. Obviously that's the most one of the things that we want to do. But we're going to have games that we win, we should have lost. We're going to have games that we lost that we should have won. But ultimately, I think if we continue to get better as the months go on, as the season go on, then we will be the team that we want to be.
AD, what was the nature of the defensive miscue that you and Dwight were trying to figure out, you guys were discussing?
Just a pick and roll scheme. That was it. I say me and him trying to figure, not just me and him, but all of us trying to figure out on the defensive end. And something happened. I was saying one thing, he was saying another on the scheme. And one thing led to another. And like I said, we talked about it, and we left it in the locker room at halftime.
In addition to what happened with you and Dwight, there was text tonight. There was a fan that got up in Rondo, and the emotions of this night. Do you think there's any reflection on how your team composes itself, or how you can handle emotion?
10-point loss to the Suns. And a short while ago, Frank Vogel spoke with Mike in the media.
Hey, Frank, was it important to you to have the starters play through and try to find something, try to get some kind of rhythm throughout that fourth quarter? And what did you see in that stretch?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we put it in there for. And, obviously they made a run. But that's a lineup that, we'll use throughout the year at times with, excuse me, we just call it a centerless lineup, without AD or a big. And, there's a lot a lot that goes into that style of play that we wanted to look at. And, obviously they made a run, so we let them rock.
Frank, we all saw what happened between Anthony and Dwight on the bench. We saw you get a technical. We saw Rondo get into it with the fan courtside. Were you disappointed with the team's sort of composure level on the whole tonight? And I guess, what do you think contributed to that?
I think there are three isolated situations. The fan slapped Rondo's hand. Like, that has nothing to do with our composure. Dwight and AD had a miscue on a coverage, and they talked it out. But, when you're getting your ass kicked, sometimes those conversations get heated. Those guys love each other. They talked it out, and that's going to happen from time to time. I'd rather our guys care, than not care. I got a tech because, reasons are obvious why I got a tech. Just leave it at that.
Hey, Frank. Through 2 games, you guys have been outscored by 38 points in the paint, compared to the other team. And I feel like that's a two-sided issue where you guys aren't getting to the paint, but also the opponent is getting to the paint. What have you kind of seen?
Our team. You know what I mean? And what it's going to take and what it's going to require for us to be the necessary basket attacking team that I think we can be. And, each game that we play, I learn a little bit more. But we got to finish at the rim. Usually when you get hit going the basket, the whistle blows. It didn't tonight on a lot of those situations. Missed, I think, over 12 layups. So we got to finish better, and there's some things we can do to correct that and become a better paint attacking team.
Frank, on those incidents that you mentioned, all isolated but all pretty notable, and all on video in the time we live in. People will look at those a lot. They'll form an opinion about the state of this team. What do you think that those collectively say about where your team is kind of on its path?
It says we want to be 2-0 and we're not. That's all it says. We got a good group of guys that like each other. Our process is really strong, and we got a good system on both sides of the ball. And
don't know what was said. Don't even want to guess, Rob, but obviously something.
No, we don't want to talk about it because right there, AD, and you see right there, they're still talking about it. AD's trying to explain his point, and Dwight Howard's like, yo, you probably said you didn't have to come at me like that, bro. Mm-hmm. But it's a certain way when you're trying to be a leader on a team and you're trying to show your dominance on a team, sometimes you get confused on how to do that. And a lot of times everybody's going to probably point the finger at Dwight Howard. But I think AD being the leader on this team, there's a certain way you handle things.
Yes.
And you sit down next to him and you talk to him in his ear, and you don't get him up and then you grab him. There's certain things because he's a grown man and you don't grab another grown man like that unless you in WWE or something like that, MMA. And I know this is frustrating for me because AD wasn't having the night he wanted to have. He shot poorly from the field, shot great from the free throw line, but poorly from the field. So we're not going to sit here and speculate because we don't know what was said, what was happening. But this is some things that just doesn't need to happen. They need to learn how to handle it the right way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and as they were entering the half, it looked like they had chatted and talked. So don't go on Twitter and freak out and think the Lakers don't like each other and the chemistry's bad. Yeah. Please don't panic like that. Allie and Rob do that before every single show. They are fine at the end of the day. But go ahead, James.
I was going to say the same thing, man. Sister-brother thing, boy, fighting like cats. I actually hope they have some more. I don't want to call it confrontation or whatever. But I hope that they have a couple more of those where they can, get in each other's face and shake off the dust, and because it happens. It happens usually in the locker room. I would say AD, Dwight's an older guy. He's been around. He's not some young kid that you could just run up to.
Yeah.
Rob's right. You don't embarrass a veteran like that. You sit down and say, hey, dog, can we talk about something? So, yeah. But I do like to see that they care. And that they're starting to communicate, because it's frustrating what they're doing on the floor. So they're gonna have to figure it out. It's gonna take some honest conversation. Mm-hmm. And
listen, no one threw a towel in the coach's face.
In the window.
Right, James? No one threw a towel in the coach's face.
Nothing's quite as exciting on the bench as that.
Yeah, no doubt.
You should be happy. I came here. After
Believe
that.
me, it's one of the greatest moments in Suns history when you threw the towel and Danny Ainge.
Yeah, and you wonder if they talked about it already at halftime. Again, Dwight did not play in the second half. That surprised me a little bit.
They went small, right?
Yeah, no doubt. And maybe that is a little preview. AD at the 5. Maybe we will be seeing that sooner than later. Again, with this game in San Antonio in a couple days. Maybe Frank's like, all right, let's just see what it looks like. Yeah. And they played pretty well in that fourth quarter. Yeah. Third quarter, though, not so well.
Yeah. Where do you guys see most of the struggles? I mean, listen, we can flip a coin, offense, defense, but when you watch that game, Rob, I think I was harping on defense. James talked a little about the offensive struggles. What's the first thing that pops into your mind?
I think them not scoring in the paint. That just bothered me because when you look at the Phoenix
Suns,
Suns,
one thing we dominated for the last couple of years.
You look at the Phoenix Suns, they got one big, and for you to sit there, I forget they got
JaVale.
two bigs, JaVale. For JaVale, if I told you JaVale McGee would outplay all of the Lakers bigs, you would say I'm on something.
Right.
And that's what happened. If you saw the energy JaVale played with.